Blessings! Welcome to Truth Talks with Charlie. So excited. Okay, so this is Truth Talks with Charlie. So Truth Talks with Charlie is basically exploratory conversations that is inspired by curiosity and awe. So basically I invite guests on to talk about their lives, to talk about their journey, whatever it is they want, and we basically stay curious, asking questions and just seeing what's up. Today we have Sheree with us, and we're just waiting for her to hop on. I hope you all are well. Happy Sunday and happy new moon. Let's get into that. Hello. Welcome to the party.
I'm sorry, I was trying to do it on the computer.
Hello. Oh, no worries. Listen, this is a space for all the things. For
User
technology not to
error.
work, for me to fumble my words, all the things.
Yes.
Yes. This is a space for all of that. We accept the journey. So get here.
Okay.
So yes, I usually just be jumping right into it. So if you're ready, I'm ready to go. I already basically introduced Truth Talks, and basically what I'm doing here. And I often allow guests to introduce
So
themselves.
I am Sheree Patterson.
Feel
I
free to
am
take the
an
floor.
intuitive artist. I'm many things. I'm multifaceted, let's just say that. So right now my journey is taking me on creativity and healing.
Yeah. And that's what we're going to get into today. We're going to talk about your healing journey,
Yes.
what that looks like, what you've added to it, how that's been going. But before we get into that, I always have a warm-up question for everyone. And so yours today is, a genie grants you 3 wishes, but none of them can directly benefit you. So
That's a good question.
what would
I would
wishes
definitely
be?
say to heal Mother Nature, number one, because I am a here. And to, I got 2 more, and it doesn't apply to me, right? Okay. I would just say to
It can't directly
uplift
benefit you.
humanity and that's number 2, uplift humanity. And let me see. I don't know. I'm a Pisces, so I want everybody to be happy. And live in their own dream world. I mean, isn't that why we're here, to search for our purpose?
Ooh.
Yeah.
I love that last, living our own dream world. I feel like that really resonates with me. Yes, I like that. Okay, is that what Pisces is doing? I love that for y'all. I wasn't sure what y'all were doing, but if that's what y'all do, I love that for y'all. I only hear about Pisces. I don't feel like I know many in person, like in real life. And yeah, my aunt is a Pisces, but like what people say, I'm like, I don't know if I see that in her. But I could have not been paying attention, so there's that. But I need to know what that means. You know what I mean? Like, y'all dreamers, is this a delusional dreamer? Is this like, okay. Listen, I'm here for all of it, though. I want the best for y'all, and I do believe that each sign brings something, right, to humanity, to help support us, to help with the wholeness of us, right, as a collective, right? We all bring something to it, and so Pisces is not a sign that I screw up my face at. I don't know y'all enough, but you mentioned Capricorns or like Aquarius, and then I thought let's have a talk, okay?
Well, welcome to the
club.
Welcome to the club.
But Pisces, I don't really. Y'all good in my book. Welcome. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. But yes, okay. So another thing I do during these times is really just thank people for being here, right? Kind of like giving people their flowers. I thank you for reaching out and being open to even having this conversation. I feel like live
Right.
conversations, there is no room probably from the outside forever, right? But in my world, because I am me, um, I live a trial and error life. Like, I live a life where I'm gonna touch the stove after you told me not to touch it, and then I'm gonna keep it moving, right? Like, so I live that kind of life, and so like I've been allowing myself the space to make mistakes out loud, right? And that means even on live, right? I'm gonna stumble over my words, probably not get it right, and so I do.
Yeah.
I know how courageous it is for people to show up on any live and just be, because you don't know what people will take out of context. You don't know how people will take it. You know, you're being vulnerable, like you're just sharing your truth, but it could be taken in so many different ways. So I just feel like there's a vulnerability to this. And so I give thanks for you like showing up, wanting to talk about it to whatever extent. For people that don't know, I ask people about their boundaries, because it's like, yeah, you want to talk about it, but that doesn't mean that you want to reveal everything to us, you know, or that you want to, right, that everything is open. Like, F that. No, but I still get to tell my story. I get to share with the world, and I'm so just happy to have you here, just in whatever capacity, because like part of your tagline is like coming out of relationships, and I'm assuming
Right.
like how that kind of pivoted your healing, or probably opened you up to another aspect of yourself, right? And so like even like mentioning that part is
Right.
even a lot, right? Because now you're opening up a door, like, all right, so what happened back then to come here, right? And it's a whole journey. So I give thanks to you, and I want to just acknowledge and recognize you in that way, like for your vulnerability, for even being here, and your willingness
Me
to
too. Me too.
share. I'm like excited.
I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, so you ready to start the convo, the official convo? Okay, so your topic is basically coming home to self, and I always feel like that's always like it grabs my heart every time. So can you tell us a little bit about
Okay, so
why
that
that
really
title, why
was
that
a
theme for
point in my
yourself is
life that
now?
catapulted me into my healing journey. Like, really sitting with myself and like looking at all the parts that I didn't like. You know, we all hold insecurities, and I realized that, you know, we also are being mirrored back. So whoever we are attracting and whoever I attracted at that time, let's be honest, I was probably a little bit of a narcissist myself, but not really realizing it. So, you know, once I came out of that relationship, I
Mm,
started to see parts of myself that were really broken, like pieces here and there that I had to kind of learn how to put back together. So it all started with like self improvement, but I was definitely insecure on so many levels. Like, and I was like, well, I guess it was a mask that I was
mm,
putting up, and that was like the facade. When you walk out the door, you're this person, but when I come home, I'm like crying and ball, and it's like that. There's an imbalance somewhere. So once I was able to take myself out of that situation, I was able to, you know, kind of focus on the
mm,
parts of me that really needed that healing. It really needed to, where I needed to like be focused on just understanding where all of that was coming from, like why I chose that relationship, why I stayed so long, why I wasn't listening to my intuition, you know, all of those things.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like having a million questions for yourself. But I feel like yeah. So can you tell us about like
So for
when we
me,
use the
how
term
I have
narcissist, like what are
had
we talking
contact with
about?
it, it's just a person that's emotionally unavailable, and they're not in touch with their feelings, and it's like it's always a projection. It's your fault, it's their fault. It's never internal, you know, they're never looking internally. And that was me at some point. It's like, it was your fault. It's not my fault, you know, and then I come to realize, I'm like, that wait, no, I'm not perfect. I mean, as much as I would like to think so, you know, I'm not perfect. And so a narcissist for me is just someone who doesn't take accountability. Yeah.
Mm, wow.
Mhm.
Yeah. that's because I feel like we hear the term thrown around
Right.
a lot, and I do believe that with every label, right, like the expression can be different. That's what I'm about to, right, like even when you're saying narcissist, I ask someone else, right, that might
Right.
look different for them, right, and so like I think it is important to like acknowledge like what do we mean
Yes.
when we're saying like you have narcissistic tendencies or behavior, right, even if we don't want to like right, because I feel like we can have tendencies and not like label ourselves as this thing. So I just wanted to like clear that too, like so we all know what we're saying and what we're talking about. So like what do you feel like within that situation or circumstance, really like at what point did you decide like this, wait, I gotta no this
So
this doesn't feel
probably
good and I
like
have
the
to,
rose-colored
or
glasses
something
came
like
off
that,
after I had
whatever this.
my daughter, and I was just like, I want to be a better mom than I had growing up. And so it kind of like all compiled itself with like postpartum depression and like an unhealthy relationship. Like it all just came to a head when she was born. And I was like, I have to do better for myself. If not for myself, first mainly for myself, but then for my children. But I knew I had to heal. I didn't want to repeat old cycles. I didn't want her or any of my kids to go through what I've gone through. You know what I mean? In some capacity. I know we can't protect our kids at all, with everything, but we can, work on ourselves so that we can be better for them, so they don't have to go through at least most of the traumas that we've gone through and we've learned from. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that is a reality of it. Like in one instinct, people are like, I want my child to have this family and everything else, but then it's like, well, is this in a healthy space though, right? Like, because the other side of that, right? Like we got to be mindful. No, you're good, because I'm over here like trying to do the So can we talk about like when we talk about the narcissist behavior for you, like when you got out of it, like what, I don't know if you noticed while you were in, like what was happening. So I guess I could ask that first. Did you like feel like this relationship isn't healthy, or like, because I feel
Yes.
because I feel like when you're in something, sometimes you're just like, oh, this is just part of life, right? This is just how relationships are.
That was
and then when you get
like,
out, you're like, what the fuck
like
was that? Right? Like,
a bunch
okay, so
of
that's
things.
what I'm trying to ask.
Like I realized that I was settling. I realized that, I was not moving, like kind of being stagnant in my career and growth in general. Like it was a disconnect. There was a disconnect from I won't say my intuition, because looking back, I hear my intuition screaming at me, like, this is not right. Like, I remember, just being in that environment and, my intuition just kicking in and saying, like, what would you do if you had to leave this relationship? And I'm like, well, why would I even think about that if I'm, supposedly happy, on the surface, everything looked good, everything looked good, but it didn't feel good. And so I think that's where, I kind of had to come back home with myself and say, okay, something's not right here. I got to check myself. And I kind of just got the courage to just focus on me, really, like really focus on me. Because, I was a wife, I was a mother, I was a nurse, I was all of these things, but what was in here? Like that wasn't resonating. You know what I mean? Like I was doing all of these different parts of what people say I should be doing, but I still wasn't happy. And that's where I was like, okay, this is it. Like something's got to change, because I don't want to be snapping at you, my kids, and all this, because that's not me. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So were you able to start your healing
Yes.
or remembrance journey, as I call it too, because it is coming back home to self? Were you able to start that while you were still in the relationship, or do you feel like you left and then that's when the
I was
journey was
definitely
able to
still in
begin?
the relationship, but I was removed from the relationship at that time. So it was like we were at a distance, and that's when I started to kind of like just, reevaluate life, and why I wasn't happy, and why this didn't turn out the way that I wanted to. And I'm like, I'm tired of faking. Like, I just don't want to be fake in my relationship, in love, in life, in general. I just don't want to be fake. If you're going to love me for me, or you're not going to love me at all, plain and simple. And so I feel like when I came to that realization, like, I just want to be Sheree, you know what I'm saying? And I think mainly it was also my inner child that wanted love too. Like, she was screaming for somebody to love her, and I was looking for it in all the wrong places. Let's just be honest. I was looking for it in all the wrong places. And when I realized that, I was like, okay, well, I gotta love me first. And it started with that journey back home, loving me.
So, okay.
Dawn,
thank you for that.
that's
So
my
Indiana
girl.
John,
Hi.
wait, what? Like, I'm trying to, John.
Yes.
Yeah, like, I'm like, wait. It's like, this is a lot of our stories, and I agree. And especially, like, even what you're talking about the inner child, because I feel like that's what I noticed too for myself. It was like that inner child,
Right.
you know, like that she was wanting something. I would see her, and I didn't know it was her. So yeah, so tell us about that, like, as you, like, your inner, like, acknowledging your inner child, like, what, like, was it a meditation, like, what, I don't know if you do inner child work as part of your healing journey, but if you do, I would love to know, like, you know, how did you connect back with your inner child?
Connecting
like,
with my inner child is doing anything
like,
fun. I have kids, so I observe them and I see what they like to do, and I'm like, yeah, I remember I used to love doing that. So as a child, I love to draw, so I'm back at sketching. I love to create things. Like, I always had that artistry in me, and it kind of just died down the older I got, because everybody tells you, oh, you got to go to school, you have to have a good, you know, make a good living, especially with the way that the economy is set up. Like, you literally have to work in order to live, basically. And is that really living, though? It's like, no, for me, it's not. Like, I want to get up every day and be passionate about what I do. And so I'm afforded that right now. And in that space, it allows me to play with my inner child, drawing, painting, playing in the dirt, just doing crazy stuff. You know, I have a 4-year-old, so she likes to dress up like mermaids and stuff like that. So we'll do, you know, stuff like that. Like, I'm a big kid. And I like to express that. So I'm glad that I love this stage with them, because I get to do all of those things, and let my child just, she living, honey.
Yeah. Period. Why not? Yes. Okay, so, all right, so, like, it's basically getting back to those things that you enjoyed as a child, or just, like, that energy that brings us back to that joyful place. Hi, beautiful sister. Peace and blessings. Hey, hello. So, was there any other, like, things that you found yourself gravitating to during the time that maybe you weren't into before? I can give an example, because I feel like for me, I got really into, I feel like I always read. I started experimenting a lot more with myself, like, during my healing journey. So, like, I would learn something, like, I learned about shame and guilt. Then I would start paying attention to where it showed up, like, where I was being, you know, projecting, giving shame to myself, or feeling guilty about things, like, and really undoing that. So were there, like, things that you started to gravitate towards or get more into, whether it's astrology?
It was definitely tarot.
I feel like that's a big one that people like.
Been drawn to esoteric, like aliens, all of that weird stuff. Well, people think it's weird. I think it's normal, but whatever. Like, I just started doing me. You know, journaling was definitely something that kind of brought a lot of stuff to the surface for me. Like, I would look back on the stuff that I was writing in that relationship, and I was just like, yo, I was really delusional. You know, because I was trying to perpetuate something that I knew in my heart just wasn't right. And so when I went back and looked at it, I'm like, okay, I haven't achieved anything on this list, or anything that I've written down. And now when I write things down and I come back to it, I can see that I've actually accomplished some of those things that I've written down. So journaling was definitely something that I got into a lot more. Reading tarot and like really connecting with my intuition, learning how to deal with my chakras. I learned about, the chakras when I was going through healing, and learning how to feel, like literally feel within my body when something does not feel right. So for me, how I connect with things that are off, it'll hit me in my stomach. Like your gut is like your brain, really. It hits you right here if it's not right for me. And if it feels good, it'll hit me right here in my heart center. So it was just like learning how to tap into, my energy centers, my intuition, and just reflecting on what I had written down to see if I was still in alignment with what I wanted.
That's so delicious, because there were a couple of things come to me. One of them is, well, I have a question, but hopefully I can remember after this. But the other thing is like coming back to your body,
Right.
is what I'm hearing, right? Because I think that sometimes we're so in our mind, right, where we can create those delusions, where we can tell ourselves these stories to make us feel good. But when we come back to our body, right, our body is giving us information. Like you're talking about your gut talking to you, your heart, and you're talking about, I know what's correct for me because of this. I know, right? But that's all us coming back to the wisdom of our body and getting out of this brain. Like the brain is great, but it should not be a decision maker on its own. Like
Absolutely.
what? No, because you can convince yourself of anything. We can convince ourselves of anything with this freaking brain. It's great, but not in all circumstances. So yes, when you're talking about coming back home to your body,
that's a good one. I love that.
How do y'all still nurture, comfort your inner child?
So for me, it's doing what I love, and what I love doing as a child, which is drawing. So connect with your inner child, like really meditate. If that's something that you're into, connect with, or like meditating with your inner child. Do like an inner child meditation is what I'm trying to say. And see what comes up for you during that meditation and what you remember you like to do as a child. That's your child screaming and saying, oh, okay, well, we used to like baking cakes, or we used to like playing out, riding our bikes, whatever that is, sitting out in nature. That's how I nurture my inner child.
Yeah. For me, I feel like it's very similar. I can often see my inner child in my third eye. So like I usually know what, because there's been times with my inner child where like I was very like I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel safe in my body. My nervous system was off the fucking hook. It was like everything that, it was just like, whoa, okay, like it was also overactive. And so for me, it was like seeing that inner child and recognizing that she kept laying on my lap, but like she would be laying with her back away from me.
Right.
So which means that she still needed to make sure everything was good. So I was just like, and this is something I was learning at the beginning phases of my awareness, right? When I'm aware of my healing journey, because I think we're always on this remembrance journey, but there's an awareness at some point. So that's what I would do. And so like now, like the more I acknowledge like, oh, that's my inner child, the more like we have a relationship.
Right.
And so like I can easily just be sitting down and get an image and I'm like, all right, let's go do that. Whatever it is, but I paint a lot, I journal, I read a lot. My inner child is just, she's just fun. Like she just doesn't care. Like she's just like what, she's down for whatever. She don't care. And so like that's actually like yesterday I realized that's what I'm bringing to my YouTube. I keep calling my YouTube a playground, but it's because like I want it to be lighthearted. I want it to be fun. I want, even though we're doing this remembrance journey and we're gonna recognize things that we probably don't like about ourselves, like I want us to be lighthearted about it. I want us to know that is not, it's okay. It's okay to be insecure. It's okay to feel jealous for a second. It's okay to have all these human experiences where baby, we get to say, and that was cute. I'm going this way. So like those are like, I just want to be free, and like my inner child always wants to be free.
I feel
so
that last part.
The things that bring that freedom for me.
Doing all the things.
Yeah, because I would do all that. Yeah, I would do all the things because I have nieces and nephews. So like, I get to go over there with 5-year-olds and bring them makeup and watch what they do, and them teach me and show me like what they've done and telling me how they spell their name, right? Like I like like all these new things, and like just how quick they switch their I'm over here playing, now I want to be in your business.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Like, and that's what I mean by like
and,
observing
like,
the
they
kids.
just let go.
Like, just see how they play, how they just like, okay, they'll fall. Some of them, they'll fall, get up, and just keep it moving. That's how we got to be in life sometimes. You know, you feel your feels, and then you keep it moving.
That's what I think it is. I think is that remembering that childlike essence, the fact that they could fall and keep moving. Like, yes, they're gonna cry for a little while, but honestly, they may not even remember in in 30 minutes that happened, right? Like, they already have moved on from it, and that's the remembrance I'm getting from that childlike energy. And even when I was praying this morning, that came up to me, is like, that's what childlike is that ability to like experience life and still be like, all right, and I'm okay, I can get up and keep it moving. Like, all right, that happened, it's cool. But yeah, young East African queen. I wanted to make sure I broke it up. So yes, mine loves to dance, sing, and cooking. And lately, she really enjoys going out in nature. Yes. Oh yeah, and I was talking to you. I love to swing on the swings at the park. Like, I will go to the park early after my walk, and I'm going to swing on those swings. And y'all gonna all be okay. Okay. She is very creative, and let her just do what she loves. Yes, and you will just notice, like, there's no friction when we're just
so in the moment. You're present in the moment that you don't have time to worry about what's going on outside. You're just in here having fun.
Yeah. Right, and that's so childlike. When I'm thinking about all these things now, it really does come back to that awe, that curiosity place, that place of just experimenting,
and that curiosity,
being
that
curious
brought
about
up something.
everything,
Like I
touching
said,
everything.
we were talking last week about, you know, I've never sewn a day in my life, but this is a new journey that I'm ready to explore. My inner child is ready to explore sewing. So we'll see what comes up with that. Like, I just like being creative. She likes being creative.
Yeah, I'm so excited for you. I'm so excited for all of it. And like, when you were talking earlier, I have a question. I know when you started off, like, not even started off, during the conversation, you mentioned like these roles you play. Right? You're a wife, you're a mother. So outside of those roles,
she's very animated. Like,
what
she
would you
likes
say you
to
are?
be funny. She likes to be goofy. She likes to love. She likes to be loved. She likes to sing and dance. Like, I'm all of those things. Like, I don't like to put myself in a box. I just do what feels good.
Yeah. I once had a professor that was just like, she wanted all of us to introduce ourselves, but we couldn't use our names. We couldn't, like, so like, I thought that was like the cutest thing, and I was like, I would just say I'm the magician, like, period. Oh, I'm a magician, right? Because that gives space for all the things. Like, I'm constantly creating, I'm constantly finding something out of nothing.
Gypsy comes to mind.
Like, I'm outside.
Because I'm all
so yeah,
literally all over the place.
Ooh. Yeah, listen, I'm trying to be so my main goal in life, if I want to be anything important to this world, I want to be my niece and nephew's, like, favorite aunt. I just want them to be like, oh, that's my great aunt. Like, she just be with the shit. Like, let her go. Like, that's it. I want them to be excited. Like, oh, you can go talk to her about anything. Like, she's gonna be twerking on the shit in her decision making, and it's all good. Yep. Yeah, because I feel like I could be pretty objective. Like, I can see both sides of things and still be like, but who knows? Because, like, I don't know everything about the situation. I only know what I think I know. So, like, that's why I be twerking on the fence. And I get that from Kempire on YouTube. Just so y'all know, I do watch celebrity gossip sometimes about the reality shows. That is my guilty pleasure, because, you know, I gotta people.
Yes, the human design, right?
What these auras and these people are doing out here. Yeah. I need to see how everybody's expressing. Like, okay. So this one is, my inner child loves to be creative and wants to try everything. I often have to slow myself down. Oh yeah, that makes sense. And that's the other thing. There's so much we can do. That's why I'm like, when people feel like they're bored, I'd be so confused. I'm like, there's so much to do. I feel like there's not enough.
Exactly.
So, like,
right.
There's not enough time. So I just got to get started on whatever the thing is. Yeah. I definitely feel that. Yeah, I
It
definitely
is.
feel that. Well, this is a good cackle. All right. Now, like, let's go with that. All right. So what else would you share about your journey? Like, as far as like
Yeah.
lessons learned, like hindsight is 2020. So like looking back, like what would you like? Was there any? Ooh, I guess what are some things that we could be aware of when we're in
Mhm.
relationships to just acknowledge like when something may be questionable, like maybe how someone talks to you, or like is there like some tips or things we can look out for when we're thinking about because one of the things that you talked about to me was about like the idea
Yes.
that somebody could be. I do believe that violence comes in a lot of different phases.
Right.
We can call it abuse. I say violence. It comes because I want y'all
Yes.
to hear it. It comes in a lot of different ways. It's not just physical. It could be verbal. And so like that was something we talked about, and that's something I acknowledge in a lot of situations around me that people like. I tell people just because it's not physical doesn't mean it's not abuse, right?
Right.
Like that's not
And
okay. Well,
that's
how did it feel when
basically
you heard it? Like not to
right.
be an asshole, but it's
That's
kind of
how it is. Like, so
like it's
for
okay to call
me,
things what they
I
are.
watched my mother go through abusive relationships, and I was like, well, that ain't never gonna be me. I'm never gonna let nobody put their hands on me. And so, in that sense, I thought I was being protected. Like, ain't nobody put no hands on me. But it's also, like you said, it comes in different avenues. It comes in the way that people speak to you. Well, how did that make you feel when you talk to me like the old Sheree would never have let you speak to me like that? So why am I letting you speak to me like this now? Like, it became a pattern where when I was being spoken to in a certain way, I felt it here in the gut, and I was like kind of ignoring it to the point where I couldn't ignore it anymore because it was creating a lot of anxiety. It was creating depression. It was creating, like, when you hold these emotions, it brings up something inside of you, like it's energy and motion that starts to rise to the surface. So I'm like, I was never a person who was anxious. I was never a person who was depressed, and I'm all of these things now. In that moment, I was all of these things, and I'm like, well, where is that coming from? And then that was where the hard pause came, where I had to say, okay, well, it's coming from you not being approved or feeling approved or appreciated in this relationship based on how you're being spoken to. And the love for my inner child kicked in. Like, I had to mother and nurture her and say, okay, we got ourselves in this situation. It's time to get ourselves out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you, she was really screaming to be protected. She really was. Yes.
Yeah. Narcissistic
Yes,
abuse.
absolutely. Like,
Narcissistic
it's
abuse can be
hidden. It's
very
kind of
covert.
like
Yeah.
backhanded compliments. It's gaslighting. It's it's just like certain things that they say and in the tone that they say it, and it's like, you were coming for me. And it's like, if I don't speak up for myself, then who am I? Like, I'm starting to lose myself if I'm not speaking up for myself. And that's kind of where it was in that moment. It was like I wasn't saying anything because I didn't want to ruffle any feathers, or I always felt like I had to walk on eggshells, and that's where the anxiety came in. And I'm like, I don't like living like this.
Yeah. Yeah. I've definitely experienced that in relationships, that whole anxiety thing. And like I
I
remember
don't feel
people were
like
like,
that.
"Oh, like you're just in love," and I was like, "There's no way it can feel this way. What
No.
is happening?" I was like, "What? No, 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 no." And I
Right.
didn't know. I still didn't know, but I was just like, I know that this doesn't feel good, right? And like the more experience you get and you're paying attention to that feeling, you're like, all
Right.
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 And
Like,
if you ever feel it again, you're like, all right, now these are adding up, and this is not okay, because I think that
right.
sometimes it is. You don't, like you're trying to rationalize it. Like, no, maybe it's just this, maybe it's just that. Because I can understand how it's covert because I too feel like, I be excusing things a lot.
Yes.
So I'm just like, oh, that's just how they are. Oh, that's just this. But when you put it all together, and that's what I mean. Like once you put it all
Right.
together all the
Like,
time,
you
you're
see
like,
it from a different perspective.
okay.
It's kind of like
It's
you
like a
have an out of
different
body
wake up.
experience, and it's like, oh, that's what that is. That's verbal abuse. Or just talking to someone about it kind of made me realize that's what that is. oh, okay, yeah, I'm not feeling that, like, because I've felt it for so long, and you're in it. Like you said, when you're in it, you really don't, you can't see the forest and the trees, like you're just like in it. So when you, I felt like I got pulled out and I saw it from a different perspective, and I was just like, this is not the life that I want to live.
Yeah. And I love that, like you said, it went back to your inner
Right.
child, and it started to be like, let me nurture her, let me protect her, let me take care of her. Because I do
Absolutely.
feel like that's what it is. Like, I definitely feel like a parent to my inner child still. Like, even the way I treat myself and talk to myself, and like the best, like the kind of deals I make with myself, right? Like, all right, we're gonna do this, that, and the third, and then we're gonna go get this. All right, like that's just how I be. Like, you know, I guess wishing that I had a different, probably wishing I had a different childhood experience too, right? Like wishing I had those things at the time, so like now I'm giving it to myself, and I can acknowledge that and think it's like hella fun. So yes. So what would you? Because what I was getting at or asking for is like, what are some tips, I guess,
like,
I would say,
well, like
not
signs,
tips, no,
I
isn't what I was
guess, or
asking.
triggers. It all comes back to feeling, I
Right,
would say.
yeah.
How does it make you feel? Does it feel good in this relationship? Because that was really like the main eye opener for me. Even now in this relationship, I feel good. But in that relationship, I did not feel good. Like I woke up genuinely every day unhappy, and I had to push through that unhappiness. And I'm like, love should not be this hard, you know? I mean, it's not always going to be easy, but it shouldn't feel anxious. It should not feel like, if the main thing is just, does it feel good? I'm just going to, that is one of the main triggers that I had. If it didn't feel good, it's not good. It's not good for you. You're like, something internally is telling you it's off. You might need to sit in with yourself and kind of figure out where these feelings are coming from. You know, another thing I would say was like more like a trigger was just like the anxiety and the depression. Like if you're a person that kind of suffers from that, it's probably been prior to this relationship. So where is that coming from? Because it doesn't necessarily have to be like a love relationship. It could be a mother-father relationship. It could be, an aunt relationship. It's anybody who makes you feel uncomfortable within yourself that's creating this. That's where you need to check in. Yeah.
Yep, I love it. Yeah, and so earlier you talked about your insecurities, and like, like there was probably something in me too and so did you prioritize any like self-worth, self-love kind of work,
So
or
the self-love for me
and
pretty
part of
much
your
came from
healing?
journaling. Like I literally had to, because I felt like I lost my voice, literally. And so I journaled. I journaled my thoughts. That was really like coming back home to self, and I would look back over the things that I tell myself. Like I used to speak it, and so now I'm just reading it. And then it kind of helped me fall back in love with myself and fall back in love with the things that I wanted. I wrote down my next relationship, how I wanted him to appear, like how I wanted the whole situation to be. I mean, I was very specific too. Like I really wanted to, I knew what I didn't want.
Okay.
And so the journey back home to self was me writing down what I did want in this new, like when I realized that this isn't going to work, I need to make sure that I'm putting down what I want moving forward. Yeah.
So I know another thing people do is like date themselves. So is that something that you feel like you did?
No, I didn't date
throughout,
myself.
like
I
after
actually,
writing it down and all
and
these
he's
other
here
things?
now, he can verify that. So I was looking for companionship after this relationship, and I found it because I slid in his DMs. That's what he gonna tell you, right, babe? And it just turned that, yes. So it was like we
I
kind
see
of
it, the evolution of
it started off as a friendship,
yeah.
and that is exactly what I needed. I needed someone to hear me, and I felt heard. I felt seen, I felt appreciated, I felt loved, I felt all the things that I didn't feel before. And it felt good, but I still had a wall up because, okay, I'm just getting out of something that was just like really traumatic. And the fact that I was given so much grace in this relationship was just everything. So, you know, he's got to see my evolution from start to now, because we're not finished yet. You know what I mean? So it's just like a process that I continue to work on every day.
Yeah.
So I guess I am dating myself in a way by doing what I love.
Yeah. I love that though.
Right.
Because I'm very much that slide in your DMs kind of like whatever. I just do what I
Right.
want kind of thing. So
Right.
yeah, I don't have those
I'm
hard
not
rules
that girl.
that probably the world tell women to have. I'm like, yeah, why would I do that? If I want to talk to you, I'm gonna talk to you. Like, I'm not waiting for you to talk to me when I want to talk to you. It's crazy. I think that's crazy. I'm like, that's weird. But each of those. Well, thank you. All right, and so I feel like I'm kind of jumping, but I'm going back to stuff we talked about before. So one of the other things you did mention is that like tarot was like one of the things that like you got into. So can you tell us about like that journey? I know that I'm someone who loves tarot.
Yes. That's how I met you.
Stay
That's how
posted up my deck collection. So I'm more of a collector than anything.
That definitely, like I said, it helped me tap into my intuition, because I had like a tarot deck for years, and I would like look at it and I would try to figure it out. I had the books and everything, but I'm just like, okay, it's really just about the feeling more so than, you know, reading. Like, you can read to get like the basics and stuff, but the more I worked with it, the more I felt in tune with my intuition, the more I felt connected. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's how I feel too. Like, I feel like it does give you practice with your intuition. Like, if you are struggling and trusting your intuition or knowing what it sounds like, I definitely would say, like, if tarot is not your thing, definitely oracle cards, because I know that tarot was not my thing. Like, I enjoyed it, but I was like, there's too much memorizing. Like, I feel like we're getting in the way of my intuition, because I'm like, this is not that hard.
Emerged in both,
energy.
like the
So
tarot
what the hell is
and the
going
oracle.
on?
Because I was like you, I'm like, who got time to remember all of this stuff? So like oracles kind of like help develop it with tarot in combination. So, yeah.
Yeah, and being patient. So that will be my, because I do know that about myself. I have recognized in this season of my life how much patience I just still need. We've made it away. But it's like being patient with the process too, and with ourselves. And I think that we can even say that when it comes to like the remembrance or the healing journey, it's like being patient with yourself, being patient when things come up that
I love you too.
Wait. It's so funny because I feel like I should not be in this conversation.
Here's the gag. He's in the next room. Isn't he sweet?
Right. I be seeing the sweetest things around here. People when they husbands come in like kiss them on the forehead. I'm just like, I just
why do you feel that way?
Like, where is this going? I love it though.
Oh, okay.
I feel like not in a. I feel like very in a playful way, in the sense that like, where does this lead into, right? Like, I see it as flirting,
right?
I see it as flirting, and not necessarily that it is, but like, you know what I mean? That's what I mean by like. So not like no. I think it's all beautiful. I say just play all the shit, okay? But I'm like, ooh, where are we going?
Right.
Where you going? Yeah, I'm that person. I'm with the shit. Trust and believe that. The same. My memory said no.
And learning to trust it is another thing. Like, that's where it was like learning to like understand that what you heard is really, or however you connect, whatever you felt, heard, smell, that's true to you. That's true for you. And it will connect. Like, if you're doing it for yourself first, you know, I guess you can eventually venture out and to do it for other people, but how does it make you feel? You know what I mean? Like, did you feel something when you were pulling this card? Like, did you smell something? Because some people are clear. What is it? They smell, and I'm like, that's not it. Is that it? Yeah. And I'm like, so they smell like they're
Oh, clairvoyance.
someone's cologne.
Is
like
that one?
that is true
Yeah,
for
I think
you.
it's the
If
S
you
one.
feel it, if you see it, if you hear it, that is true for you. Trust your intuition. Like, and it's a daily process. That's what I had to do. I had to make it a daily process to get really comfortable and confident with it.
Mm.
No, I don't. Like,
What would you
I
say you're
haven't tapped
strong?
into
Do you
that
feel
yet,
like
but
you
I
have a
hear
stronger
and I see,
sixth sense?
you know.
Right. So I would consider that like your
Right.
strong. So I feel like so before this spiritual
Mm-hmm.
community, before I got into it, like before I got all these labels, I ain't got no issue with them. It's just I make these faces about things. I don't have an issue with it. I just make faces, people. I just want to put that. But before I got into it, I would say even
Yeah.
before that, like
Yeah.
my claircognizant to me is like my strongest sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
if we had to talk about it, like
Yes.
that would be the first thing I go for. Then my clear
Mm-hmm.
audience, which is the hearing, and so my clairvoyance, I didn't feel like I could even see or
Right.
imagine anything until I was way into my own remembrance healing journey. So I like one thing I always remind people is like the more you use it,
Right.
the more it might open up. Or if you use one gift, like the other ones will open up to support it. Like you just
Yeah.
everybody's journey is different, but like this whole like you got to do a whole bunch of stuff to open up these gifts. Okay. I don't agree. I don't align with that because that wasn't my journey. That wasn't my truth. That wasn't my experience.
Yeah.
I didn't
Right.
have to do anything to do
Right.
anything besides exist. Because it was way before I even knew
Mm-hmm.
about healing. Like I was like getting premonitions and I would trust them. I would
Right.
just know things. I would see things and be like, oh, this is about to
Very
happen. I would pick
tactful,
up stuff about people and
energetically.
just it'll be
Yeah.
on. So um yeah, little Charlie was outside, y'all. She knew things, and I had to pray a lot not to take advantage of my gifts, and that's something too. I think that I
Right.
mean that was just for me because I was around a lot of people
Right.
who would manipulate, and so I just needed to make sure that I
Right.
didn't become them because clearly it was harmful. I saw it as harmful, but I didn't want to be like the adults
Absolutely.
around me. But I knew I had the capacity to
Right.
do it because everybody was doing it around me, trying to get what they want. So why not? Well, Charlie was like, we can have this too.
If the
You
homies
want
can't
that?
have
We can
none.
have it. What you want to tell them? No. But yeah, period. No, but yeah, that's like very real. Like all these journeys, and I feel like as much as they sound separate, they're so together. And I do believe that, like, whatever experience we have, probably invite us to other things to experience. Like, because were you doing
Yeah.
tarot before? Like, were you in? Oh, did you have your deck? Because you already had a
Yes.
deck. Did you always have your
Yes.
deck,
And
even in your
I would tap
past
into it and
situation,
I would
or like
ask
did you buy?
questions, and that's
Okay.
kind of where it kind of
Ooh.
like developed even more because I was learning to trust what I was seeing in the cards. Like I would journal questions, and then the card that would come out, I would research it because I was still learning the tarot. I would research it, what it meant, and then what it felt for me, and when I saw it, I took like a couple classes, but I was like, this don't really work for me. Like I'm so a non-traditional learner when it comes to certain things, so I just kind of felt my way through it to learn what the
Mm-hmm.
cards meant for me.
Yeah, I love that. A lot of things you're talking about when you're talking about feeling,
Mm-hmm.
it just reminds me, and I will say this again about going back into our bodies. And even as you're talking about coming home to yourself, like that's what I think about. Is like tapping back into your body,
Yeah.
trusting it, and actually allowing it to guide you. Right? When you're talking about your gut brain, and your heart, right? Like those are your guidance systems for you. Like you know what that feels like, and I think that when we all learn how our body is talking to us. And if we actually just trust it, you will be surprised at the doors that will open and where it guides you to. Like, none of us know the truth for any of the other
Right.
person, right? I think it's for us individually to be like, that's correct for me or that's not correct for me. Because you don't know what
Yeah.
my body is feeling unless you can pick up people's energy, which is a whole,
Yeah.
right? Everybody's gift is
Yeah.
different. Some people can just feel the energy and be like, all right. But yeah. So let me see. All right. Is there other things you
No,
wanted
I
to share with
guess
us that
that
I
was pretty
missed
much
or I didn't
it,
bring
I
up
think,
yet?
right?
Yeah. I feel like it too, but I just wanted to make sure, like, is there anything else? Is there any tips you want to share with us or anything exciting that you learned on during your healing journey that you was like, oh, I wish I would have known this sooner?
Nothing's really coming to only just like checking in with my body, because that's the biggest thing for me. Like learning how to not ignore what I'm feeling inside, because that's how I realized that I wasn't safe and this wasn't for me. So that's the biggest thing when I have as a takeaway for those who may be going through this experience or have gone through this experience. Feel your emotions, tap into that, like whatever comes up for you in whatever capacity, sit with it and try to figure out where the root cause of it is. If it's from childhood, if it's from a relationship, whatever that is. And journaling, for sure. If you're journaling and writing is not your thing, just talking into a recorder on your phone, just about how you feel, because those things, when you go back to listen to it, will definitely show you and tell you how you're feeling, and sometimes where it's coming from, where the root cause of it is. So
yeah, I'm definitely a person all about getting back to root causes, because I
thank
think
you.
that
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I do believe in, like, I do want to piggyback on that about root causes, because I will say this, a lot of times things that are being triggered or activated in us are past memories. You know, something is happening in the present moment, but it's triggering something that happened in the past, or that emotion of it, and that's what's coming up. And so when we deal with those root issues, we really do address, like, that thing that's actually holding that vibration, right? Because it is a vibration that's being activated. And I think that one way to test that is, like, pay attention to things that you no longer react to that you used to react to. Because, like, that will show you the difference between a neutral, something happened but it's not activating me no more, and then things that are still like, all right, you still need a little love there. I think that would be like way to see the difference, to feel the difference. Okay, I like that. I like that. I like that full circle. I like it. All right, well, this was such a great talk, and I'm like, like, we talked about a lot of different things, especially even bringing it back to the inner child, which, yes, I definitely want to encourage people to love all over your inner child as much as you can. If you need ways, I definitely have some ideas, so please feel free to ask.
I like to make things. I like to make jewelry. I like to make candles, incense, all of those things. Like, that helps me connect with my inner child. Doing fun things like that. So sacredintuitions.com is a link to on my bio where you can go and check that out. So that's me. I do. Yes.
I do. You know what? I didn't know you had, like, products.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and the YouTube. So
but I just even learned about that.
I'm so up and down with that channel. So it's either going to be like new moon, full moon readings, or just daily readings. I'm trying to be more consistent with certain things, but mainly it's just like being creative. But the YouTube is all about intuition and tarot readings. My Sacred Intuitions is all where I keep all my products.
Okay, the physical products.
I do. Yes. So you can book it on sacredintuitions.com.
Or is it mainly for you?
Yeah.
Okay, yay. So, good question. Okay. Yay. Okay, I love it. Okay, all right. So we do have a wrap-up question if we are ready to go. So let's find it. Okay. We're going back to some version of you. If you could tell some past version of you,
you made it, girl. You made anything, it.
What would you say?
My past version would be the little girl who wanted to be seen, and not for like the wrong reasons, but just for being creatively fun and just different. You made it. Like, you are living your dream and you're happy doing what you love. That's it.
Yeah. I'm so thankful that you are here, and I'm happy for you, and I'm excited for you. I do believe that like our journey is what it is, and so like we get to pivot, we get to make new choices, and it does sound like that's exactly what you did, and be like, no, I get to be happy, I get to be seen, I get to be acknowledged for who I truly am, and not other people's projections, and it gets to be fun.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you.
I enjoyed this part. Thank you. We appreciate it. Yeah, this is like a great. I'm energized, and it's Sunday, and I got things to do, so this is good. I'm like, this is good because I got creative things to do. So like, this is like a great entry into it. And so I thank you so much for being here with me, Goddess, and for sharing with us and just all the things. I will be sure to share your information. So I usually share everybody's information on my stories the first day, and then I bring little snippets out throughout the week just so people can hear what was said. And this will be up on YouTube by
I enjoyed chatting with you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it is. Well, thank you.
Yes.
I appreciate you all. Tell the boo we appreciate the papa.
Thank you.
I adore you. Thank you so much. Y'all all enjoy your day. Yes, and if anyone's interested in being a guest on Truth Talks with Charlie, feel free to fill out the form in my bio. So, and I will put that in my stories as well.
All right.
Anybody can talk here for the most part.
Bye.
Very good.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye. Enjoy your
You
Sunday,
too.
everyone. Blessings and happy new moon. Bye.